My name's Jacqueline Dom and my fiance is Alex Corbett. We were both in the same chemistry lab, and one day, this is very nerdy, but our photo spectrometer broke, and so, or theirs did, and so they had to come to our table and use ours.
And she asked me to help her with something, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I played along.
We actually ended up sitting together for a final exam. So that particular week, the weather was really bad. Like bridges were out over by campus, and I was driving, and I was on time. But with the floods, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna be late. Like I had to turn around. I couldn't park where I normally did, so I parked over by the Devaney Center, and I was like, I've got 15 minutes. Like I need to go. And the testing center was 1.5 miles away. And I was just like, I grabbed my calculator, my pencils, and I'm like running. And I'm running all the way across this bridge, and I drop my pencils. I just have my calculator, and I'm like sweating, and it's like I show up a minute late. The tests are already going out. And I kind of knew, I mean, like I didn't know Alex that well, but I'd seen him before. I'd seen him in lab, kind of knew him. And I sit by him, he like looks at me, and he's like, wow, this loser. But I'm like, I don't have a pencil, like you have a pencil. And he's like, yeah, and you can have my water too. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, you know? And then he was going back to California for the summer, and he was like, stay after, like when you're done with the exam, like wait for me. And I was like, okay, like sure. And in my head, the whole exam, I was just like, okay, you know, this kid, like, I don't know. So then I turn to my exam, and I'm like waiting outside the room for like a minute, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. Like I was like, you know, he's nice, but like I don't want this to like get in, you know, I'm just gonna go. So I grabbed my friend, like, we need to go now. Like I was like, I just like don't, like I was not ready to like, I could feel that he kind of liked me, and I was like, we just have to go.
And then after that, she kind of ditched me. We didn't talk for a few months, and then I just texted her randomly one day, and then we went on a first date.
We had been talking for quite a while at the time, so I felt really comfortable with him. He was a friend.
We were just talking about like some places we like to eat in Lincoln, and she likes the venue, and I was like, you know, like I've never been there, like maybe we should go together.
And I was living in Seward with my parents, and so he actually drove all the way to come and pick me up. And I was like, my dad's really scary, like you're gonna meet my dad. And like I was just like building it up to be this really scary situation, and he was just like, oh God, like he walks in the house and he's like shaking, and like my dad was like so excited to see him.
She made it seem like her dad was this big scary guy, and we really connected with I really connected with her and her parents right away. They were always so nice to me.
So I was really, at that point, I was really relieved. That was honestly like, I wasn't nervous for the date itself. I was nervous because I knew he was gonna meet my family and my parents, and I was just, that really had me nervous. But the date part, I was super excited for, because I was already just really comfortable with him as a friend. And so we were just kind of transitioning into more than friends, so.
We were actually talking about past relationships and how those went.
And it was like super casual conversation. Like we were talking probably about like football or something, and just like super chill. And then like I kind of like got off subject. I was kind of like ranting about a past relationship, which I shouldn't have been doing. I was just like, oh my gosh, like that was just the worst. Like I'm so glad I'm like done with that. Like I'm feeling so much better. And I'm like, and you know what? It's okay, because I found somebody that I love.
And I was like, wait, who? Like, who are you talking about? She goes, you. And then she just kept moving on with the conversation, and I was just like sitting there confused. I was like, all right, yeah.
Some of the qualities that Alex has, there's a lot of good ones. One main one is that he just has a heart for others, and it comes very naturally. It's never forced. It's just, he really does have a way with people, and that's, you know, it's a part of his occupation. He's a nurse, but it's just really like holistically who he is. You know, he's super helpful, and he doesn't do it for any kind of accolades. It's like, he's just a humble guy, you know, looking to find ways to make other people happy.
So I think a lot of things like that I love about her, like her patience, her caring. She has a lot of motherly qualities. I think that, I think that's very attractive, that like when I was thinking about having kids someday, that I know that she would be a good mom, and she's very strong in her faith too, and that's really important to me.
We were like, let's go for a drive. So that's kind of something we always do. And like, so we did, we have our music on, and
I was just trying to think of when to make a move, I guess, but I wanted to be as respectful as possible, and I never really get nervous around girls at all, but like I hugged her, and I just kind of like pulled back and looked at her, and then I hugged her again.
And he was like, we just hugged. It's like the hug that lasts like 10 years, and you're just like, okay, like something's gonna happen.
And this went on for like 15 minutes, and she said I was shaking, but I don't think I was shaking. But yeah, I pulled back, and then I went in to kiss her, and it was a very sweet moment for sure.
He's very protective of me in a very kind-hearted way. Like, he's not like in a vicious way, but just like a very protective guy, and like biblically, like he's just very strong in the faith. So he's a man of God.
I think it was the summer that we started dating. I went to California to hang out with my family, and she was out on kind of like a mission trip out in California, and she met my mom and my family, and she really connected with my family. She connected with my mom really well, which meant a lot to me. She's so open, so kind. She tells me how it is a lot of the time, which is I need to hear. She's the most caring person I know, and I've known for a couple months in the relationship. I knew that I loved her.
The moment I knew, and it really goes back to the first date, and you're probably like, oh my gosh, you're one of those people that's like falls in love at first sight. No, we had known each other for a while. We built up a friendship, but when my family liked him, they have really good instincts. I was like, okay, like this guy's the real deal, and I know that I knew inside I loved him, but I just hadn't said it yet. I was like, okay, this guy is the real deal. I could see myself, I could see a whole future with him, like right now, Once your family likes someone, and it's not that I needed that validation, but I think that like really solidified,
Like I said earlier, I think I've always felt like she was the one. We just have such a great trust with one another, and when this last summer, I was just kind of thinking about how much I loved her, and just it was at the end of July. I just was like, hey, I'm gonna buy a ring, and I'm gonna ask her to marry me.
He's a stinker. Like the whole week building up to it, it was like, listen, he was like, I want to marry you now, and I know like that's our goal. Like we are gonna get married, and you are gonna be my wife. Like I know, like you're the one. So I knew, we were gonna get engaged. I just wasn't sure when, because the whole week leading up to that, he was like, I really think like we should get engaged in a year. We'll both be done with school. We'll both have jobs. It'll just be more stable, and I just think it makes more sense. It's not gonna feel rushed. It's just gonna be. I feel like that's gonna be the right time. And of course, me, I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been waiting for 4 years. Like this is just, So I was just like, oh my gosh.
So one of her good friends, she had a photography session set up for us on September 1st, and I thought, what a great opportunity to kind of like surprise her, because she's like the hardest person to surprise. And so I just kind of messaged her friend Mallory and told her like, hey, like I still got to ask your dad if it's okay, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. I bought the ring already. So the day of the photo shoot, I brought the ring with me, and we were picking up Mallory from Omaha. So I took the ring and I put it underneath Jackie's seat the whole ride from Lincoln to Omaha, so that when Mallory got in the car, she just grabbed it and put it in her camera case. So. And then she said she needed to fix my shirt, and then brought the ring to me, and then that's kind of how it unfolded.
And it was like every day this conversation would get. I'm just like, okay, like, are you kidding me? And then the night before, he was just acting really weird, and I didn't like hindsight. I'm like, yeah, but he was just like different. I was like, what is wrong? Like, what's going on? He's like, nothing's wrong. I'm like, yeah. But anyways, like we were gonna get pictures taken, And this has been planned for a while, and we've already done this before. And didn't Lee do engagement then? So I had no reason to believe. I was super, super, super oblivious.
When I asked her, I was, for like a whole month or two, I was trying to think of like this big speech of what I'm gonna say. And when it happened and she looked at me, she goes, "Are you serious?" Like, and then she goes, "But wait, did you ask my dad?" And then she just kept saying, "Are you serious?" And she didn't think I was serious until I opened it. And then she was just kind of jumping around, like crying. And it was what I expected, kind of, but not really. But it was really exciting. So
Here we are. I mean, I'm still like shocked, honestly. Sometimes I think about it, but yeah. We went through the whole photo shoot, and at the very end, he's like, "Whoa." I just turn around and hello. Like, it's crazy. I'm still like smitten, like, you know.
I just want her to know that, you know, I'm in this for forever, and I want her to know that I'm always going to be a faithful husband. We're going to grow together with God, and I hope to be as good of a dad as she is a mom to our kids someday, and just let her know I love her.
If I could say one thing to Alex before our wedding day, it's that I'm so fortunate that you are the one that God chose for me. I couldn't imagine a future without you in it. And I know that is very cliche, but that's in my heart. Like, I know, and I knew a long time, but I know it's you. I knew it was you. I know it's you. And every day, I am just so fortunate that you're gonna be my husband. And I love you so much. And I just can't wait for just all the monumental things that we're gonna go through together in life. And I can't wait. I love you.